So you're about to pick a broker and you just finished your real estate classes and you're just not sure which one to go with. Congratulations on finishing your classes. My name's Tim Bowman. I'm a real estate agent here in Cincinnati, Ohio, and today we're going to talk about picking a broker. Let's dive right into it. How do you pick a broker, right? So that's a great question. First thing you need to know when you talk about picking a broker is switch that mind frame from what you're used to doing, at least what I was used to doing. When I was going into a job interview, I was sitting there hoping that I had all the right qualities and the person they were looking for, and they were going to pick me. And that is not exactly how this goes. You've got to switch places with that broker. In this case, you're the real estate agent. They are looking to take on real estate agents. You're bringing the value to the table, and they're the commodity. There are a lot of brokerages out there, and hopefully there are a lot for you to choose from in your town, in your area. So with that being said, you need to think about how you're interviewing them to make sure that they're going to be able to help you achieve your goals, not you achieve their goals for them, right? So with that being said, make sure that you're the interviewer and they're the one being interviewed. And yeah, of course, they want to make sure you're a right fit, but primarily this is for your benefit. You're the one that's going to be working your butt off out there. So make sure they're a good fit for you first and foremost. Secondly, and probably almost as important as the first one, is location. Not everybody lives in a big city and a big metropolitan area where there are a ton of brokerages out there and 100 to choose from. Some of you watching this video are going to be in a much smaller marketplace with a lot less options. And the location of your brokerage is very important. Is that brokerage a virtual brokerage like some of them you see up here? This EXP, they're one that's well known for being online only. They have a virtual world. It's really neat to see, but maybe that's not for everybody. That might not be for every single real estate agent. It certainly wasn't for me whenever I took a look at EXP, but that doesn't mean they're not a good fit for all the hundreds of thousands of agents that they do have. They're just not the right fit for me. With that being said, maybe you only have a handful of brokerages in your town. It's important to make sure that the location of their office is in a place that you can plug in and tune in as often as you possibly can. So having to drive far away into an area or a marketplace that you're not as familiar with, or having to commute to the office just to plug in, it can be kind of difficult, and I think you'll find yourself not plugging in as much as you possibly could. So you're interviewing them, make sure that their location is somewhere that's easily accessible for you and that you can plug into that market center, whether it's online or in person, as often as you need to for your training. Now, let's move into the next thing. I like to think of it as 3 different types of brokerages. There are full service, there are limited service, and there are the independent mom and pop shops. So what's a full service? A full service brokerage is one that's ran very much like a team, and we'll get into teams and solo agents another time, but a full service brokerage is one that provides 24/7 around the clock service for you. They're to answer your questions. They're there to help you put in your listings into the MLS. They are there to provide transaction coordinators. They pretty much, you go out and build the connection and the relationship, and they pretty much take it from there. That's a full service. Now, as we start talking about the different types, there's also going to be a very big difference in how much value they give to you or add to you and how much your commission split might end up being. So keep that in mind. We'll get into commission splits in a second. The second type was limited service. So limited service is very much like full service, only there's a few things that they provide and a few things that they don't, right? Somewhere like we like to think is a happy medium. And then we get on the other end of the spectrum there, where it's an independent mom and pop. You're gonna find they're much smaller, they're doing things their own way, of course within the laws, but they do things a little differently. They're independent, they're smaller, personal relationships. You might know everybody in the mom and pop broker by name, whereas in some of the larger ones, the Keller Williams or the Caldwell Bankers or the Comey and Shepherds, you can name them, the list goes on. The big ones, you might not know every single agent in the office because they can be pretty big offices. So with that being said, independent, limited service, full service, those are the different types that they offer out there that I like to refer to them as that. Now let's talk about your commission splits. When you're a heavy-hitting, high-producing agent, a lot of times you can negotiate a little bit on your commission splits, but depending on the market that you're in, right? What's normal in my market here in Cincinnati may not be as normal for you in your market, and so keep that in mind. However, I've heard it said that a new agent is coming into a broker looking at roughly 50-50 to most of the time 70-30 split. Now, 70% to you, 30% to the broker, and there are also things out there, and that can be negotiable, right? Sometimes, especially once you build a reputation for being the heavy hitter, you might be able to negotiate a little better split, maybe 80-20 or even 90-10. I've even heard of 95-5 at times. But with that being said, some brokers offer caps. What's a cap? That's a great question. A cap is when you're doing your normal commission splits throughout the year and you reach a certain amount of money you've paid into the broker, they might cap that. So for example, let's say you have a cap of $15,000 and your split starts out every year at 70-30. So you're going to pay 30% of your commission check to the broker up until you've paid them a maximum amount of the $15,000, and then your commission structure is going to change. Hopefully, it can be as good as 100%, 0%. You keep 100 for the rest of the year once you've maxed out your cap at 15,000, or maybe, and more often than not, you'll find that they drop down to a lesser commission split, sometimes 90-10, where you keep the 90, or 95-5 and you keep the 95. That's a cap. Once you reach the cap, generally speaking, your commission structure changes to something that's more desirable for you, of course. So with that, how much money are you paying into your brokerage and what kind of value add are you getting in return? Those are directly related to what type of brokerage you're going to pick. A full service, a limited service, or a mom and pop. They sometimes can come up with their own commission structures at the independent mom and pop shops. And they're not necessarily bad. It's just a matter of what fits you. Where do you fit in and what is your end game? You go into this interview process making sure that you interview at least 3 different brokerages, knowing what your end game is. Your end game is to either get to 100% of your own commission. One day you want to be a brokerage of your own. You need to learn as much as you can, or maybe you want to start your own team. Maybe you want to join a team. Maybe there's other high producing agents at the brokerage and that you really want to rub elbows with and learn a lot from. Heck, maybe you even want to join their team so that you can learn directly from them. There's a lot of questions out there that maybe you should have clearly defined when you go into these interview process. Remember, where you're the interviewer of the brokerage. Do you guys have heavy hitting, high producing agents here that I can learn from? Are they looking for people to join their team? Are you guys interested in taking anybody that can fog a mirror? Or are you only looking for some people that you see real potential in? And do I fit that? And why do you feel like I would fit that? Lots of questions to write down and take into your interview process with you. So because you're paying these brokerages a portion of your hard-earned money, you want to make sure that the value that they bring back to you in return is worth the amount of money you're paying into them. Do they provide the training? You need to ask those questions. What about their expectations of you? Maybe we should go in there asking, hey, what kind of expectations do you have of me? Do I need to meet a minimum requirement of houses that I sell each year? Is there a certain amount of hours I need to be in the brokerage every day or every week? What if I decide I want to take my family to Disney World and I'm going to be gone for 2 weeks because I've sold a really big deal and I got a big commission check and we're going to go celebrate? Are you going to be calling me, telling me how I need to come back to work, or are you guys going to be okay with me being gone and living my life on my terms? Because for some people, getting into real estate is just that, living your life on your terms. So you need to ask your broker, what are your expectations of your real estate agents? And do they have to be here, certain requirements, or meet certain minimum requirements? Because how hard you work is going to determine on you. Are you a part-time agent? Are you planning on being a full-time agent? Is this just something you're doing on the side for a hobby, or maybe you're retired and you just are tired of staying in the home all the time and you need to get out and do some stuff? So real estate sounded fun to you. Do you really want a brokerage that's going to tell you need to be here a certain amount of hours like the career that you just retired from? Most likely not. You're probably going to want them to be there to provide value and training, but you're probably not going to want them calling your phone all the time saying, where are you? I'm retired. I'm at home. I do that as a hobby. I do a handful of deals a year and I come in whenever I feel like I need it. So make sure you're asking those questions, that your plan is matching up to what the broker's providing as value to you. Let's talk about the difference between joining a team and going on your own. So there's a lot of information that we've covered already, but this is one of those questions that you really need to have solidified in your mind as you go into your interview process where you're interviewing the broker. Don't forget, you're interviewing the broker. So are you going to go out here? Do you have the resources, the connections that you need, or are you good enough and are you resourceful enough to get the connections that you might need to be a successful solo real estate agent? Those are good questions. You're going to find that loan officers would love your business, especially because you're referring customers to them. You're going to find that prospecting and marketing and social media and all those things are a lot more simplistic these days, especially like YouTube, where you just add value and people tend to find their way to you as a real estate agent, and they trust you and they want to do business with you. Are you resourceful enough to go out there and be successful on your own with simply just what the brokerage has to provide for training and just what they provide for support on the back end? Or do you feel like maybe you're the kind of person who is really good and has a lot of good strengths in certain areas, and you would be better plugging into a well-oiled machine and being part of a team and being the part of the team that runs really, really well, working underneath someone else's team or group, right? So in Ohio, we have the laws that talk about team versus group. They're very similar, but we're not allowed to say Tim Bowman Real Estate because I'm not a real estate broker. I have to call myself the Tim Bowman team. I have a team underneath me that help me achieve the goals that I'm trying to achieve, and I help them achieve their goals. Now, there are a whole other commission splits and value adds that go into your team. They vary vastly. So when you're interviewing the broker, and you're thinking about, hey, I might be interested in joining a team, make sure to ask them, what teams in your office do a lot of volume, or would you say are definitely the bigger producers in your office? And are you familiar if they're currently looking to add anybody to their team? I might be interested in joining a team, and I'd love to speak with them too, because it gets deeper than money and numbers and statistics and producing and volume and GCI or gross commission income. All those numbers are important, but what really boils down to is, do you work well with your teammates? Not just if you're on a team, but if you're a solo agent. Do you play well with others? Do you like the broker themselves, the him or the her or whoever it is that's the broker? Do you like the person in the office that's the manager, the team leader? You gotta like these people. You're actually doing business with them on a regular basis and you're around them. So you might wanna make sure that you click well with these people, especially if you're thinking about joining someone's team. The bigger picture here is if they have a goal, then you wanna make sure that you fit that goal and you can subscribe to that goal. So maybe joining a team might be for you. Maybe you can plug into a well-oiled machine, or maybe you're a very resourceful person and an agent who can go out there and just make this happen with, give me what I need to make this happen, and I'm gonna go out there and figure out a way and I'm gonna crush it, right? So with that being said, guys, let's talk about one or two more things, and then we're gonna wrap this up here about how you can pick your brokerage and what the best broker is for you. Another thing is, let's say you're selling your own house, or eventually you get enough income and you're happy and you're ready to buy a different house. It happens, right? That's why you're out here to help people do. I just closed on my own home, which I'm extremely excited about. Now, the question that I'm telling you to ask your broker is, what happens when you sell your own home? Do you have the flexibility to change and alter your fees accordingly? What happens if you get a expensive home? In your area, expensive could be a different number. In Cincinnati, $1 million would definitely be considered expensive. In California, maybe not so much. But let's just say there's an expensive home in your market that you believe is worth an expensive number, and that person, and you're up against another agent, and the other agent's saying, hey, I'm gonna lower my fee a little bit, and I'm gonna try to earn the customer's business that way. Are you allowed to lower your fee? Because I'll be honest, 2%, well, typically 2%, 1%, or any percent of $1 million home sale is way better than 0%. That's just my personal belief. So do I have the autonomy to be able to go in and say at will, if need be, to drop my fee so that I can gain the customer, gain the client, and do what's best for them and what's best for myself at the same time, and earn their business and have a happy client? So those are some questions you need to think about. Do you have the freedom to change your fees? And when you go to sell your own home, do you have to charge a fee as well, or can you work for yourself? Will they allow you to have how many transactions per year, and what are their expectations for your fees that you charge your clients? Those are some other good questions. So let's wrap this up here, guys. I know that there's a lot of information I just threw at you. I know that there's a lot of different things we've talked about. I also noticed that my TV just went off, so that's not a big deal either, but let's roll with it, right? Because there's so much information to think about, rewind this video, go through it, take some notes, write down some questions, ask yourself these questions, try to get some answers. If you have any issues, reach out to me. My name's Tim Bowman. Leave a comment below if you liked it. If you liked it, subscribe to the channel. If you want more information like this, put some topics in the comments below. I'll try to hit whatever topics you guys are interested in. I'd love to do that for you. But if you need help, or if you have some questions, reach out to me. DM me on Instagram, PM me on Facebook, write me on YouTube, whatever. It doesn't matter. We check all that all the time. And I'd be happy to try to help you simplify this. Just keep in mind when you go out to pick your broker, it's an important decision to make, but it doesn't have to be a difficult decision to make. At the end of the day, lead with your heart, do what feels right for you, and follow your heart. I hope you guys have a great day. Hope you have a great week, and I hope you go out there and crush your real estate exam. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you need anything, like I said already 500 times, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help. See ya.